tell, it's snowing again outside. Oh my goodness, it's so great. Did in the part, like while the pause for the graphics and whatnot, did I put in my earrings? Yes. Yes, I did. This is a whole look. Anyways, I'm here to talk to you about series. This is one of my multiple finishing series videos. I think I'm sitting at actively 67 or 68. I know it was 69 before, and I did finish or catch up on one or two since then, and I don't think I've started any new ones, or like started any and decided to continue. So I think that is right. As you can tell, I read too many series. In this one, the theme of this one, because I'm doing themed right now, is translated, which is why we're here today on Bella's birthday. I made sure all of art manga. There is another Asian translated, but it's not manga. And then there's gonna be two that I haven't read a book in years. Like one of them, I think, for like 5 years. So that's what the other two series are gonna be. But we're here about the manga because I'm gonna read the manga today, and I'll update you at some point with my thoughts and opinions. Yona the Dawn, that's what I'm gonna be reading. This is me finishing what's out of Yona the Dawn in English. That's essentially what's gonna happen, which is volumes 40 through 45. So I think that's, is that 5 or 6? 40, 41, 42, 43, 44. Okay, that's 6. I'm gonna read 6 volumes of manga today. It's a good thing I'm already behind on my reading goal, because this can catch me up at least. Anyways, it is a series about a princess named Yona, red-haired princess. On her 17th birthday, she witnesses the cousin she's in love with kill her father, the king, and goes on the run with her personal guard Hawk, who is the one, they frame him for all the murders and kidnapping of her, and now they're all teaming up together to help save the kingdom. But there's a bunch of other stuff happening. There's dragons. It's fun. It's my favorite manga series, I think, possibly. I don't know if it beats out Oran for me. I love the Hawk and Yona relationship, which at this point is just like sprinklings of cute moments in like all this very in-depth political stuff that I'm not the biggest fan of. And that's fine. That's fine. I'm more into like the dynamics between hers and dragons and Hawk than her dynamic with the cousin who killed her father, and how he's dying and she's helping him out and whatnot, like for the betterment of the country. Like that's not my big favorite. I do love people recognizing, wait a second, because like he needs an heir. Wait a second, she's good at politics and she's right there and she is the princess. What if we make her, guys? That's so obvious. Anyways, I'm gonna go do that. Goodbye. Listen, okay, it's 9:52 p.m. Do I make tea? I may. I kind of want to. I finished what's out in English of Yona Dawn. There are people who have put up, like I was able to find, I wasn't even looking for it. I was just trying to see how long until the English translation, right? At 46. Surprised it's not out yet. Probably soon. Either that or they're waiting until the series is finished. Which, if I had to guess, is gonna be volume 50. But there are people who have made English translations and put them up online. So like technically I could read it that way, but I don't. That feels weird. I don't know why I brought this pencil. I have one in here. I read volumes 40 through 45. That's all I did today. In my defense, it is my dog's birthday, so I just cuddled my dog all day and did that. I guess I also finished Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Honestly, I don't know when this is coming out, so I should tell you what season 4. That's where I am. Anyways, did that. That's it. Thoughts and opinions. 40, every single one except for 44 was 4 stars. 44 was 4.5. That's the one where it really started to hit me how close to the end I am getting. Like, the first couple I read today was finishing off the war that is happening right now in the universe, whatnot. And then it comes into, like, it's not rare for the dragons to be injured or them all to be separated, and whatnot. But it's gotten to the point where, like, the dragons may be dead. Like, they're trying to bring them back, but they may be dead. Right? Um, like, also the king's dying. Like, so, like, where the volume 45 ends, he's going to do one last action to save, an attempt to save Yona's life. And that is his last action as king, because he's about to die. Like, this bitch is dying, right? And he's confirmed he wants Yona as the next ruler, right? That's the whole thing. I think I just I think the only one I've rated 5 stars. I can't remember if that's the one where we learn Xeno's past, or the one where Yona and Hawk finally admit that they have feelings for each other. But she didn't meet. She left him because she would just finally come into realization of her feelings. There's also like this whole thing where, so like, her mother could see the future, and so it around the maybe it was the first one I read today. I don't remember. She starts having dreams. She's been having dreams this whole time, honestly. But she's starting to clock. Wait a second. That weird dream I had a while back about the palace being on fire, and then the palace is attacked and lit on fire. And then she also had a dream about all these characters being dead, like the 2 sick characters and the 3 dragons that can die being dead. And then she has a dream of Hawk dying, and so she admits she loves him. Yeah, she can see the future. She admits she loves him. And now she's going to face off with gods. That's where I left off. She literally went to face off with gods because, okay, in her defense, the gods did make it so the dragons have very young lives. Like, they die really young, including Suwon, her cousin, who's like the red dragon kind of technically, right? Like, he's part of the he's like one of the descendants of the red dragon, but she's the other half of the soul of the red dragon, if that makes sense. But she's not actually related to him. I thought this was obvious with the red hair from the beginning, but what do I know? Anyways, I mean, I guess nobody does a second look when they see the dragons with blue hair and green hair, right? They freak out more when they see them like literally flying around in the air. Okay, I saw a lot of actual dragons in this one. Also, that was like a somewhat newer thing, like in the past 10 volumes. They were coming out a lot in this one. It was kind of cool. It was kind of cool. Okay, I did like that. Anyways, literally Yona admits her feelings to Hawk. Hawk's like, oh my god, I'm gonna die. She does everything to stop that from happening, and in the process learns what she needs to do and goes and fucking fights the god. And he's left behind, and he's like, I don't know what happened. She just disappeared into the medallion. And now there's earthquakes, and the sky literally turned black. And if they don't get her back, there's a strong possibility that the whole country will just be in darkness. So they gotta try to get her back. It's chaotic. Anyways, volume 44 is the one where it's like, yeah, we're getting close to the end. Because like the other dragons, they were missing before this for like a whole volume before that, but like they're like may actually be dead, still not confirmed. Like, we don't know if they can bring them back, right? And Xeno is doing all this stuff in a plan to kill himself because, in case you don't know, he's the immortal one. He can't die. He's been living for like 2,000 plus years. So he wants out of here, right? So he's doing all this stuff to try to die, and leaving Yona and Hawk behind. And he's all like, no, it's fine. The country will be fine because Yona's still alive. And she has Hawk, so it's okay. But she's like, it's very melancholy. And like her being distraught that like she just wants to say goodbye to them, right? Like, okay, Xeno wants to get out of here, get out of this life. Okay, but like, let me say goodbye. Like, I want to have a chance to say goodbye, and then I won't stop you because I understand, right? The amount of trauma you've gone through in 2,000 plus years, I get it. The amount of people you've seen love die, yeah. And then also like more growth of the Hawk and Yona relationship, but also with, I don't know if I don't think I brought into depth what Suwon's character is. He's the cousin who killed her father. And then also in, I think it was 45, we learned that his main personal guard, like he has a bunch of personal guards, but there's like one main guy who's this assassin guy, and he's the guy who killed her mother and was supposed to kill her when she was a child, but just didn't. He didn't kill her, but he did kill her mother. So he killed both her parents. She's an orphan because of him. I also have to remind everyone she is canonically 17 at this point, because her birthday definitely has passed. But like, oh my god, wild. It was her 16th birthday, so oh my god, when the series started. Anyways, yeah, on her 16th birthday, there was like a flashback to when he killed the king, and I was like, what if I reread volume 1? This is why I think it's kind of my favorite. I think I'll get that in a minute, but essentially, he kills her family, attempts to kill her, and because of that she has to go on the run, essentially fake her death, with her only connection being Hawk, who is her personal guard, who is framed for all this stuff. She is labeled as a dead, assumed dead, on the run, like living on the side of the road in sleeping bags, right? With like occasionally a bath, right? Like this is the type of situation. She's constantly being in danger. He has like people go after her multiple times, all this stuff, and then manipulates her into this deal. I think around like volume 38, if I had to guess, and all this stuff. And now all of a sudden he's like, actually, I want you to be the ruler after me. And Hawk's like, bitch, can you really stop affecting her whole entire life without asking her first? Like, just bring it up to her. Just be like, hey, would you mind taking over for me? Because you're kind of the best option for all these reasons. Like, he's got good points. But, like, maybe bring it up to her instead of just bringing up the guy who was your best friend and is her kind of boyfriend, I guess. It's not confirmed. But they are in love. So that he has to be the one to tell her. But then another soldier ends up telling her as he's trying to kill her because he doesn't think she should take over. That's a whole thing. Anyways, the reason why I think this may be my favorite manga series, alright, there's an explanation. The only other one that I would take out of place would be Oran, right? But Oran had different lows and highs, right? There were lows, there were highs. There was like at least a couple 3.5s. I don't think any 3s, but a couple 3.5s. But there were a good chunk, like a good handful, especially near the end, of 5s. But also that one was like happier in general. Like I was sad it was ending, but it was happier in general, right? And a lot of the earlier stuff was more of a nostalgia thing. This one, I'm like sad to see it go. And also like they're constantly in danger. Any of them could die at this point, right? We're in the end game, but I don't know what's gonna happen. And then also it's steady. Like as you can tell by me rating 5 out of 6 volumes I read today, 4 stars. Almost every single volume I've rated 4 stars. There's a handful of 4.5s and I think 1 5-star. So it's more consistent quality, in my opinion. Anyways, that's my review of Yona the Dawn, volumes 40 through 45. I'm caught up on that series. That's a series knocked off the list because I gotta wait until they come out with English translations. And I'm probably gonna wait until the series is finished and they're completely out in English translations, I'm gonna be honest. Because I like to bulk read them, and I'm gonna run out very fast if I don't do that. Don't worry, I have this 10 minutes to look back at. So it's fine. I don't know. Listen, I don't know which one I'm gonna read next, because one of them I can borrow from Kindle Unlimited. Another one I have on hold from the library, but the 4th one I haven't even thought about putting on hold yet. I should do that. So we'll see when that happens. This just happened to be the perfect day for me to read all of these, so that's why I started now. I will see you at some point when I read another book for this that isn't a manga. Don't worry, this was the only manga section. Hello, hi. Did I put makeup on this morning? Just because I knew that, one, I had to update this video, but also there's another video that I should update, but I know I definitely had to do this one because I'm more than halfway through. I'm almost 2/3 of the way through the next book in this video. Yes, I did. It is the next book in this video, The Last Wish, which is the first Witcher book. Okay, let me explain. because I know this is continuing series, and I just said it's the first book. What happened is, I want to say 2020. I should check that. I should 100% check that. Blood of Elves, which is the first full-length novel. Yep, it was 2020. I remember this because it was right after we were sent home for spring break in college, and then we never went back. That's what it was. Also, around this time, I had just done my second watch of season 1 of The Witcher, because at that point there was only one season. And I had like a close friend who also liked it, so we watched it together. And so that happened. And then also on top of that, there was a thing where at the same time, all 3 of the games on Steam were on sale. I think I got all 3 of them for like $14 or something. Which is insane. Like, I would expect nowadays Wild Hunt to be like $50. I don't actually know how much it costs nowadays, but I got all 3 for like 12. And at some point I do plan to do a playthrough of all 3. Anyways, you know, I really liked season 1. I've talked about this previously. I really liked season 1. I really disliked season 2. Like, it was, season 1 was B, season 2 was a D, season 3 was a C asterisk, but I had a better time watching it because it was so bad I was having a fun time type situation. Like, that's what the watching experience was, except for one episode. One episode I seriously hated so much. Season 2, there was only one episode I liked, which we will talk about in a minute because it's in this book. I was gonna hold up my Kindle. It was in this book. And then, but season 4, I despised. F, kill me. I hate it. I hate it. Anyways, all this is to say, this was in the hype of the show coming out, right? I do like weird timeline shit, so I did like season 1, and whatnot, and I was like connecting dots because the second watch, I just finished my second watch, so I was like connecting dots, which was like the whole purpose of doing that weird timeline shit. And so somebody online said, I don't remember where I saw this, but they said, yeah, you can skip the short story collections and just go straight to Blood of Elves. And I went, cool, thanks. Was it beneficial reading that before watching season 2? Because those are the same time? Yes. That was fun. Otherwise, no. No. I think I rated it 4. Honestly, now what? In hindsight, I would give it either 3 or 3.5. This is back before I did half stars, right? So it was definitely a 3.5 in the moment, but I didn't do half stars, so I gave it a 4 because it wasn't quite 3. But now reading The Last Wish, going back and reading The Last Wish, I would give it a 3, and this is 4.5 to a 5, depending how it ends. I'm having a great time. Is the moral of the story. If you don't know, this is the author's Polish. It's translated from Polish, and whatnot. The end. That's why it's translated. This is the one that was the asterisk. I'm pretty sure at one point in the intro I said that one of them was going to be an asterisk. This is the asterisk one. Though I did decide officially that I'm not going to reread Blood of Elves when I get to it. I'm just going to, like, I remember vividly what happened in it. Just skip and go right to the second full-length book, and whatnot. Anyways, this is a short story collection. Listen, this is, so far, there's so much good shit to talk about in this book. I've had a great time. There is weird timeline shit. You know how I said that? There's this whole aspect where there is, in between each chapter, it is, I forget how it's worded, but, it's Geralt in hindsight talking or experiencing life things, or talking about things that happen in the actual short stories, for like 8 pages with, I was gonna say priests, technically nuns? Fantasy nuns? I don't know. About how, his experiences, and whatnot, to show how he's grown as a person and whatnot, right? And so it's cutting between that and different short stories where it is like Monster of the Week type hunting stories, right? But also the way it's set up, like there's the first one, he's half asleep during it, and then we get the Striga story, which was one of my favorite parts. This is where I get to say every of the actual like Monster of the Week type stories in this. So far, they have been my favorite parts of the show is just that section, but instead of like a full 42 minutes for or an hour for a 40-page story, it's like 20 minutes because we gotta do all this other shit in the show. Anyways, moral story, I don't like the show in hindsight, because this is much better. I get it. I watch a lot of content by people who have read the books and talking about it, and I get it now. Thank you. I haven't even finished the first book, and I get it. Anyways, is the Striga? What? Striga was my, like, that was one of my favorite parts in season 1, right? Which is how he gets wounded, which is why he is there at the nunnery, fantasy nunnery, getting healed and whatnot. And then there's like this whole part where I don't remember how it connects to the second one, but that is the Beauty and the Beast type one. That was the opening for season 2, which was the only episode of season 2 I liked. Because one, I don't think there was Yennefer in that episode. If there was very little. It was mostly just this story. And it was him and Ciri dealing with this whole Monster of the Week situation together, but it was also like them first understanding each other and her trying to hide this part about herself from him and all this stuff. Let me tell you, she's not in this. This is pre-her. This is pre-her. Right? It's like your typical Beauty and the Beast mixed with vampire story. And so it was a fun time. I had a great time. Let me tell you, yeah, I get how Geralt in the book is better than Geralt in the shows. I do picture him as Henry Cavill. I know I'm not supposed to, because he's very much not Henry Cavill, but he's Henry Cavill. I picture him when I can. Okay? He's the whole reason why I watched the show in the first place, okay? And then, it goes back to, like, him healing and being like, blah, 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 mentions the Butcher of Blaviken. Hey, you know what that next, short story is? The Butcher of Blaviken one. The one that's season 1, episode 1. Yeah, that whole episode, let me tell you, so much better in the book. Oh my god. There's an actual ultimatum. I never knew what the ultimatum stuff. I don't think it was ever actually brought up in the show. I can't remember. I just know there was one song in the soundtrack, because I'm a soundtrack bitch, that was called The Ultimatum or something like that. Let me tell you, there's an actual point to it in the book. There's a whole bunch of other stuff. Why the people attack him makes more sense in the book. It actually explains stuff. This is so much better. Also, it's more heart-wrenching. Like, oh no, he had sex with a woman and then she died. Oh no, like, I get that's a little heartbreaking, but it's not like you were in love with her. You knew her for less than 24 hours, my dude. You knew her for less than 12, probably. Okay? But, like, the whole side effect of this is that one of his closest friends is essentially the sheriff, kind of, / mayor of this town. And because of this, and the people thinking he's the bad guy because they just witnessed him kill a bunch of people, he's all like, hey, you gotta get out and you can never come back. Right? So he loses his friendship and this kind of home he briefly had and all this stuff. And that's really sad. Right? Anyways, and then the next, flash forward is him talking about, Sintra and, his connection to destiny. Dude, apparently witchers have a really important thing to do with destiny. Also, I would like to note that the reason why he does the child of surprise stuff makes so much more sense in the book. Like, why would he say that in the show? I honestly don't know, but it makes sense in the book. Welcome to, it makes sense in the book, not the show. I don't know what Netflix was on. I don't know. Literally for season 4, oh my god. I don't need to talk about it. Anyways, he's all like, talks about part of the reason why he's there, or why he's still there despite the fact that he's mostly healed, is, the one in charge is all like, hey, I want one of the ladies to go into your mind and figure out where your destiny is connected, because there's something weird going on here, right? It's insinuated that he is kind of not doing so great physically. He's not being able to do as much because one, he's getting older, but two, he's not doing the destiny thing. And he's all like, I will never go back to Sintra. And then cut to Sintra. The reason why he's never going back, essentially that whole section where we learn his connection to Cirilla and all that stuff, except we don't know who Cirilla is. We just know that he accepts the child surprise, essentially, right? Is hear me out, better done in the book. And the reason why he does it is because apparently witchers are created by the child surprise, kind of, and then they're taken to be given a bunch of drugs to turn into witchers, right? And they mutate and turn into witchers, and it's very painful and can kill you. For some reason, Geralt took really well to them, and so they gave him even more, and that's why he has white hair. And so he's extra special. And he asked for the child surprise because witchers are dying out. And this is how they were made, and nobody does child surprises anymore, but they offered the child surprise, and so he takes the opportunity because, like, then I can make another witcher. Hear me out. And that makes sense. That makes sense. And then he's like, I'll be back in 6 years to take the child so I can give her a bunch of drugs. And then never goes back. And shit goes sideways because of it. Anyways, and then flash forward, and Dandelion shows up, aka Yesker. And that is the last I read. Geralt is like all down in the dumps because finding monsters is really hard. Not even finding monsters. Monsters have become a common part of society at this point. Like, there's this troll bridge with a troll under it, and when he offers to go kill it, the mayor's like, bitch, don't you dare! He fixes the bridge for free, and he does a really good job. It would cost more to have somebody properly fix the bridge regularly than it is to pay the toll occasionally. Like, let me tell you, my dude. Which makes sense. And like, there's this like really small dragon creature, and the mayor's child really likes, like, it's her pet, because it's like essentially harmless. And the next closest one is thousands of miles away. Like, it's harder for him to find monsters that people would pay for him to kill. So he's like, maybe I gotta go down south. And philosophizing about whether or not his job is pointless and what he's gonna do if he can't be doing this. Be a dad. You know that child you have? Be a dad. Yennefer has been brought up one time. Actually, technically two, because I think the cold open, that was the flash forward where he was like half asleep, infection from a wound from the Striga nonsense. The woman he was having sexy times with, he thought was Yennefer, and afterwards he realized that's not Yennefer. Right, and then one other time, Yennefer's brought up, and I think the importance of that was because Cirilla's birthday and Yennefer's birthday are very close together, or something like that. So it just reminds him of Yennefer and another woman he's lost, and whatnot. Anyways, the book's good. It is everything I wanted from the Knight of Seven Kingdoms book, which I did rate 4 stars. It's everything I wanted from that, though. So good times. The end, I'll let you know when I finish it. I plan to do that soon-ish. I don't know, I have so many other things I have to read first, but I am slowly making my way through it. It's a good one to read in bed, because I can be like, okay, I'll read like the first chapter in the story, because they are split into chapters. And so I'm like, I'll read the first chapter in the story, and it's like 10 pages. When I first wake up in the morning, or in between things and stuff like that. The end, good times, all up to you. I am calling this look. I didn't get 2 hours in a row of sleep at all last night, so lots of coffee. And also, it's of course raining out, and I washed my hair last night. It's not even fully dry yet. and it made my hair all poofy, so it's doing this so that the day that this part is being recorded, it is release day of Subnautica 2. I plan to stream it, whatnot, and because of that, I need to look somewhat put together. So I'm hoping this will help that. But I also have to talk about books, because not only have I finished The Last Wish, I did that multiple days ago. I have accidentally started 2 other books for this video. In my defense, one of them, there's a whole story about it that has to do also with The Last Night. I did not realize it would also fit into this, and then I started to read it, and then I was like 2 pages and I went, oh wait, this is translated, because I was like trying to find the specific edition on Storygraph, and I remembered, oh no, this came out in 2023. It just came out in English, and it is a sequel. So it fits for this, which is great, because I prefer 5 books. I mean, Yona's like 6 itself, but that I'm counting that as 1. So yes, the Last Wish, cough, what the hell was the show? Honestly, sitting here, I was like, I get Miss Showrunner, I don't remember her name, really wanted to do some weird time shit, right, for the setup for the show for season 1. Even though that makes no sense for the rest of the series, like the rest of the series isn't going to be able to be like that, like, girl. But anyways, so weird being as the first book is that. We talked about this. But like the first, this section is the first section of, I literally just remembered what it's called. And then I hit record and I forget what it's called. The Voice of Reason. That's right. It's called The Voice of Reason. Yes, I did have to pull up on Wikipedia. Oh my god, the original first edition cover is what it's up on Wikipedia. That's iconic, actually. Kind of love that. Anyways, The Voice of Reason is the in-between each of the short stories, and it's like, starts with him half out of it, having times in the first Voice of Reason, and then it goes into the first short story, and then in between each, and that's the one that explains how he got injured and how he's here, in the Voice of Reason sections, and the Voice of Reason sections bring up something, and then it goes into the story that explains that, right? Like the second to last penultimate Voice of Reason section, they bring up Yennefer and his relationship with Yennefer, with the high priestess of this area, this religion, who's like kind of a mother figure to Geralt. She also is close with Yennefer, right? And all this stuff, and we know that they're fighting, and then it goes into The Last Wish, which is when they met, how they met. Cough, cough, better in the buck. Also, the other short story that I didn't talk about, because that wasn't, it was The Last Wish, and then The Edge of the World, which is the penultimate, I can't say that word apparently, a short story. What I'm saying is that the timeline's a little wonky. It goes, and then it goes back in time to connect to those things, and it goes back to the Voice of Reason. And what I'm saying is the show could have been, like, the Voice of Reason sections could have been our grounding point, right? And then it would go into a short story, one of the short stories that is a Monster of a Week type story, but also is interconnected and all this stuff, and it does do the weird time stuff a little bit, but better. And instead we got what we got, and I'm upset. I understand why people are upset now. Anyways, the penultimate story, which is The Edge of the World, is the only reason I rated it 4.5 and not 5 stars, because it's not my favorite. I get what it was doing here. It is, in the show, I believe this is the one where Geralt and Jaskier meet, and Jaskier writes the Talos According to Your Witcher based off of. There are 2 issues, asterisks, I have with this one. One, the whole point of it is that there are elves. There's like this horned monster. Geralt is sent to take care of it, but not hunt it down, right? And it turns out that this horned monster is actually a creature who is stealing from the area to help out the elves that live in the mountains. And the elves plan to kill Dandelion and Geralt and all that stuff to keep their secret. But blah blah blah, they let them go. There's a lot of philosophy going on. Listen, listen. Remember how Geralt says like 2 words in the show? Let me tell you, he says so much more in just this short story alone than he does in the whole entire season 1. I swear. Anyways, you know, it's a lot of him being like, okay, but like, you're gonna. It's a lot of him trying to make them understand, especially the head of the elves, that eventually they're just gonna be begging for death and whatnot if they don't try to acclimate themselves with the humans. They're just gonna be on the edge of the world until like time continues to pass for them, because they live a very long time and they don't have enough food, and so they fight the humans in essentially a suicide pact. Is essentially what Geralt's saying. And it was giving the white guy in the 90s rights racism allegory. That's what it was giving a little bit. So that's like, I've read it better in other books, is what I'm saying. It wasn't poorly done, but I've read it better in other books. The other reason it wasn't my favorite is Dandelion. I kind of hate him so much, which is so upsetting because I love Jaskier. One thing I can state the show did better was Jaskier. Also confirming that he's bisexual. I'm just gonna assume he's bisexual in this one. I really hate Jaskier. He constantly gets them in trouble because Geralt, they'll like be running into a monster or doing a thing or being taken captive, and Geralt will be like, don't say anything, don't do anything, and then Jaskier won't shut the fuck up, and it gets them taken captive or attacked, or right, it just escalates the situation because he won't shut the fuck up, despite the fact that Geralt's like, shut the fuck up. And I hate him. Also, added reason why I hate him, that's why I don't like the Edge of the World. There's a lot of, not Jaskier, Dandelion in it. There is a little bit of Dandelion in the beginning of The Last Wish, except, because of the genie putting a curse on his throat, he can't talk for most of it. So I don't mind, like, I don't mind him in it because he doesn't talk in most of it. But the one part that he does talk in is the very beginning when he assumes that he's the one with the genie, and his first 2 wishes are another troubadour dies, and the daughter of some politician that he has the hots for and has been trying to hook up with for a while, and she keeps on turning him down, she will no longer turn him down. I am not joking. His second wish is sexually assaulting a woman. Yeah, this is not a Dandelion house. That's all I'm gonna say here. I'm assuming he gets better if he's in a lot of the other books. Also, this is 92 when this came out. So, or 93? Yeah, it was 93 when it came out. So, like, I'm gonna assume that times have changed. Aspect and also a bunch of other stuff. Which feels weird because Sapkowski, is that even how you pronounce it, doesn't shy away about sexual violence towards women in the books. There's like multiple parts where it's like very clear, but like then Cirilla's mother is like 14 and Cirilla's father was, we can assume we just assume that Cirilla's grandfather was like 20 when they met, in his like mid-20s, and that's me being generous. And her father was around the same age as this man, and then gave him his daughter that wasn't born yet, that he didn't know existed, and then she's 14, which means he's at least in his 30s. He's at least double her age, and she's pregnant. Like, that's icky. But I'm gonna go with, that's the time of one that it takes place into Isrin, so understandable. I can like, it's one of those things where like Game of Thrones is the same way, right? Where in the books Dany's like 14 in the first one, and being married off and pregnant and all this stuff. Like, I get it. But like, and then there's also like Renfrey and all this stuff. Like, it doesn't shy away from the sexual violence towards women. And then this one part is just played in as a joke. And so it feels icky, and that's why it has to be a 4.5 instead of a 5, but I did really like it. I do plan to continue the series. The end. The other books. So I have to look up what this type of book is called. Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation. Danmi? I think it's Danmi is how it's pronounced, which is, if I remember properly, Chinese novels that are fantasy and gay men. Right? Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation is the first series of this genre, right? That I am reading. Where do I still start with this one? I didn't learn this until I had already started it and I was having difficulty getting into book 1. Apparently even the author's like other series is easier getting into, right? And there's like other ones that are also easier to get into as your first. This is not a good one to be your first. That being said, I am on book 3. I have started it. It is a series about Wei Wuxian. I'm gonna try so hard, I swear. Who, okay, so there's like demonic cultivation, fighting ghosts and demons and undead creatures, right? Wei Wuxian is goes to school, is like really efficient, is really skilled at this. They use like music, but they also use swords, all this stuff, and he becomes evil. He essentially becomes evil overlord, tries to raise an army of the dead to kill everyone, and ended up killing himself in the process. And then X amount of years later, there is the bastardized son, who he's kind of bastardized because he's gay, or assumed gay, son of this powerful family, right? And they he in order to get revenge on his family, brings back Wei Wuxian by sacrificing himself, and his body will be what he possesses, and so that he can get revenge on his family. But now, like, Wei Wuxian, that was like book 1, right? He ran into Lan Wangji. That girl tried so hard. Who was like a childhood friend, kind of. He's the type of in school, the type of kid who silently does his work, and just does his stuff, does his work. He's really good, all this stuff. Comes in adulthood, he gets all the accolades, does all the stuff. Meanwhile, the class clown is just over there, who's doing the same exact shit, but like as a class clown, getting all the accolades as well, and whatnot. They kind of knew each other. It is heavily insinuated in the past chapters that there was a crush going on, but he's like shy, demure, silent type. There was one part in book 2 where he gets him drunk and is being chased around as he's trying to give him little kisses on the hand. That was just a whole chapter that killed me. Anyways, he runs into him. They run into each other on a job, and immediately recognizes that that bitch is possessed by Wei Wuxian, but doesn't do anything about it. Doesn't like tell anybody else about it. Doesn't try to like force him to get out of this body or anything. And now they're working together, traveling the world, or China, I guess, traveling China, to stop a bunch of demon attacks or undead attacks. Sometimes they come across a bunch of children, and teach them how to do it. And they're working together, and it's gay and it's fun. It's just your typical adventure story, but also gay, right? I'm hoping it gets more gay soon. I think there's 5 books in the novel. Let me check that. Let me check that. Girls gotta check that. I'm checking. Because I know there's also a graphic novel series, but that's not out yet, or finished yet, because obviously all of it has to be drawn. Yeah, there's 5, right? So I'm hoping it gets a little more good, because we've just got an insinuation of stuff so far. But I have enjoyed them. Again, that's that for that one. I'm barely into it. The other one that I'm actually into is Strange Buildings, which is the sequel to Strange Houses by Yuketsu, who I believe is a Japanese author slash YouTuber. I didn't know about. Yes, it says Japanese on the cover. I read both Japanese Houses and Strange Houses and Strange Pictures last year. I think if I had read Strange Pictures first, I would have liked it more, but I didn't. I read it after so, and I gave it a 2.5. Strange Houses, I gave it a 3.5. Thank you, Bella. I forgot the most important part, which is I'm 69 pages into this book, accidentally. How this happened is I was reading a book last night. I was not liking it. It was also horror. I DNF'd 11% in. This was one that I had from the library, so I was like, I'll just read this. I remember the other 2 books being easy to read, so I was like, that's just an easy book to read before bed, maybe read a few pages. Next thing I know, I'm 69 pages in. Here we are. Also in the process of, I already talked about this, Label is currently reading, realized it was translated, and also it is a direct sequel of Strange Houses. Let me explain how. Strange Houses is essentially a book where there are layouts to houses, and the author takes these layouts to their architect friend, and they get together to try to figure out how these weird things happening in these layouts, what they mean, how they happened, all this stuff, right? And it gets kind of spooky at points, right? My favorite part is that what would happen a lot of the times is I would notice something. I would like stop reading and like just stare at the layout for like, oh my god, it did work. My hair's not as poofy. Oh my god, thank god. Still a little poofy down here, but whatever. I would look at the layout for like 5 minutes and just stare at it and try to notice something. And usually I would notice something and then the characters would bring up something completely different and I'd be like, oh yeah, okay. Right? And I'd be like, that is weird, and then like 5 pages later, one of the other characters, like the architect, would also probably be like, hey, but also what's this area over here, which is the part that I would notice, and then I'd be like, yeah, what is that? And it was this whole thing. Now you notice I said the author. The author never gets a name or gender. I assume man, based off everything, but it's just the author. Also, all the dialogue is written like as transcripts from like a recording, right, of what happened. That's how it's essentially written. Now apparently, according to the beginning part of this book, the prologue of this book, Strange Houses in Universe was a book that the author wrote and came out with, and since then other people have come out with like, hey, this is my experience with the strange house or strange building and whatnot, and publishers and friends and them themselves have looked into a few of them, and this is a collection of 11 of those, right? And each chapter, each of the 11 main chapters, and then there's one very long last one, each of the 11 chapters is about one of these in which they interview somebody who has a connection to this house. I've only read the first 2. The first one is the daughter of the family who built this house. There was a hallway that goes to nowheres, right? And then the second one was the crime scene cleaner post a triple murder that happened in this house. And how it was poorly built and how maybe that drove him crazy because of how it was like really dark and the whole family situation and all this stuff. So that is the 2 that I've read so far. But also in the prologue, it is explained as in, this is also in universe a book being read, right? Like we're in universe, an audience member reading this book. And there is a connection between all 11 of these stories. And so on top of, while looking at these layouts, trying to figure out what the hell is going on, what's weird, what's strange about it, right? And getting the characters' explanations, there is also the aspect of trying to figure out how they're connected. And I'm only 2 in, but I have no fucking clue, right? So that's an added aspect. And then I assume the much longer last chapter is going to be something that was very similar in Strange Houses, which is the only reason I rated it 3.5, not 4. Because it wasn't my favorite in that. Where it's like essentially an info dump long explanation of everything, in which everything is explained. One thing I do like, it explains everything. Very detailed. Like, it explains everything. They'll like say, hey, this and this and this. And then somebody else will reply, oh, you mean this means this? Oh, thank you so much. And then it will also show you that in the layout. So there's no way I'm confused. I'm no, like, unless if it's wanting me to be confused, I'm not confuzzled, okay? Anyways, yeah, that's that. I have an hour left until Sandatka 2 time. I'm going to make breakfast and probably read more of this book. I'm having a good time with it. It's very fast paced. It's up on time. The end, goodbye. That's it. That's all I gotta say. A quick update, because I have finished multiple books. No, I haven't. I've only finished one book. What am I talking about? I finished one book. I finished Strange Buildings, which I rated 4 stars, which I think is the highest I've rated anything by the author. Listen, the story was surprisingly dark, which if you read the first Strange Buildings, Strange Houses, you'd be like, huh? How? Let me tell you, it's dark. I did clock some of how it's connected, but not all of it. And then it started to explain it, and with a little bit more information, I was able to piece it all together. It was well done. One of the house, like, building designs, especially, to be specific, the cult temple building design. If you understand, you understand. Ignore it. Got distracted. Every time I knock them out. What was I saying? Something. Oh yeah, the cult building design actually, when it did like the full overview look, did make me go like, ooh, that made me uncomfortable. I didn't like that. Anyways, the first book was dark. Like, there were dark moments. Like, there was definitely like child abuse and stuff like that in it. And yet this one was even darker, which is not what I expected. Where did 3 and 2 end up? I see 1 under my foot. The best part about that is it doesn't come in until like the ending, right? Like, it hints at some of it, but you don't expect the full extent of it until you get to the part where they're explaining it, and you're like, yeah, no wonder I didn't think of that, because, oh my god. Anyways, so that was fun. I mean, that was fun. I mean, I was just sitting there like, what the fuck? But good book. My main complaint of, I want to say the first one, yeah, was the fact that the ending explanation was just like a big exposition dump from this older lady, right? And that is kind of the thing in this one. The last like 130 pages or something like that is essentially him taking the 11 files, the author taking 11 files to the architect from the first one, right, the architect friend, and being like, hey, read these over and tell me what you think. And they come together to explain how they're all connected, right, in theory. And so it's essentially that, but it's done in a way that isn't as exposition-y dumpy. Like, it definitely is, but it doesn't feel like it in like a bothersome way, if that makes sense. So I think that was better done. Also, I think because we got all the underlying information beforehand, and it's just explaining all of it later on, instead of just like hey, this is what happened, and this is what happened, and this is what happened, based off of information that we had like 2% of beforehand, and I'm just like sitting there like, huh? How was I supposed to get that? Anyways, that's it for my review of that. I guess 4 stars. It was good. But I made great progress in Grandmaster demonic cultivation. There we go. I could think of the abbreviation, but I couldn't think of the full thing. I read the first chapter, which is like a quarter of the book. Generally chapters are really, really long. I'm gonna go read like the second one outside with the dog. In a hot minute. Occasionally we get chapters throughout the books. I think there's been 2 chapters previous to this one, the 2 other books total. That is them in schooling or their past or something like that. To show their connection and their bond, but also all this stuff. That's how this one starts. And chapter 2 is a continuation, direct continuation of chapter 1 of that, in which they're forced to fight this monster as a giant turtle. They get stuck in this cave system without everybody else, both wounded, just the 2 of them, right? It is very clear that Lan Wingji is, oh my god, I should have just pulled up the book so I could see the titles or names. That's what I did last update. I did, okay, yeah, that is his name. It's very clear that he is into Wei Wuxian, and then Wei Wuxian is like taunting him. There's like this whole thing where his key is all messed up, and so in order to scare it out of him, he pretends that he's stripping the both of them to do something sexual to scare him, because of course that's scary. And then afterwards, he's all like, don't worry, I'm not into men. And also he doesn't understand why Wang Ji does not like the fact that he keeps on hitting on women. And he's like, is it because you're also into these women? No, but it's just because he's into you. Anyways, they're stuck in this cave, trying to keep each other alive, and all this stuff. There's this one part where Wuxian is like seriously injured, and he's essentially kind of concussion-y, half out, but also very feverish, very out of it. And he's like, just let me sleep in your lap. It's more comfortable than this hard, stony cave ground, valid. Right? Being very class clown, annoying, whatnot, and and falls asleep, and like he assumes it's in his feverish dreams, the feeling of being in somebody's lap, but he's very clearly in his lap the whole time. Iconic. Also, a thing that I clocked is I've mentioned the fact that he's very class clowny, annoying, over the top, and it really bothers Lan Wingji. I think the reason why is because he's very much like this, but it's to cover up his actual intelligence. He's able to notice things about people, and also like trick people into saying or doing things when they are doing something wrong, to make them look worse, and so then everybody fights back or whatnot, or distract. And like there's this whole aspect in the first chapter that he does this. It was very funny. It was well done. He's very noticeable. He like notices everything. It's very Sherlock Holmes. He notices everything, right? And he just files it away, right? And so he's clocking this stuff, but then he doesn't notice that Lan Wingji, like, he's trying to be like his normal annoying class clown self, but also like because of this stuff he notices that Lan Wingji is already injured and limping and all this stuff, and something's wrong with his leg, and he's like, oh, let me just carry you. One day I'll remember which one's the pause and which one's the start and stop, or the unpause technically, and doesn't clock that would make a Lan Wingji uncomfortable, not even like masculinity wise, but also just like, that's weird, my dude, right? Anyways, I'm having a good time. It's a great time. Please welcome Accept the Darkness, as apparently it's a seasonal thing, a yearly thing, or the allergies mixed with my health make my eyes swell up and the skin peel up. It's not that bad because I've been taking care of it, but it is a thing. So if you ever see me wearing sunglasses after this, that's why. But I think at this angle with this darkness, it's not noticeable. I've read the books. Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation. Did I immediately go and borrow book 4? Yes, I did. Hilarious story. I was looking at how much I rated the first 2, and I think they're both 3.5s. I'm surprised I didn't rate the second one a 4 because I did like that one more. This one, 4.5. A girl had a fucking brain. So apparently the first 3 chapters, I believe, I think I went into detail about what chapter 1 was. This may have been already said. If it was, I can cut it out. But essentially the first 3 chapters was before, when he was a little bit younger, based off of shortly after this stuff, he is 20, and so he's like in his late teens, right? I already talked about the cave stuff, and then essentially we like know that there's this other clan that does some stuff, and in the fighting against that clan is when Wei Wuxian went a little into the demonic arts, more than he should have, and that's how we went all dark mode and the repercussions of that, right? So we learned in those 3 chapters, specifically the first 2, all the psychological trauma, the physical trauma, the torture, the grief, everything they did to him. And then they drop him into an area that is impossible to get out of, and there's a bunch of undead creatures there that will kill him, except next time he's like been missing for months. Next time any of the other characters have seen him, the other clan, and this is like the part where like they're fighting back against this clan who's doing all this bad stuff, right? And weirdly enough, all the people from this clan are like dying a lot, like heavily, very gruesome deaths. And then the main perpetrator towards Wei Wuxian and his friends, he's being followed / tracked down by Wei Wuxian's 2 best friends, which is Lan Wangji, kind of, and his other friend, and they show up to find that the body horror in this scene is astronomical, like 3rd-degree burns his whole entire body, no fingers anymore, they've all been chopped off, his legs have been defleshed, and it is insinuated that he has been forced to eat them, like the flesh from his legs, he's just got nubs of bone, and he's trying to crawl away. Let me tell you, I was just like, huh? But also, it's very cathartic. I get it, because, like, he's the bad guy. And so, everyone else, not Longji, but everybody else, is all like, okay, sure, Wei Wuxian, we love you, because you stopped the bad guy. Like, is it a bit overboard? Yes. But, like, we understand, because this guy was a bad guy, right? And we, like, witnessed the things that this man did. So, it's, like, cathartic, but also at the same time, it's definitely over the top. Anyways, we witnessed this, and then it goes back to current day, in which he is dead and possessing this body, right? In which one, we learn how Lan Wangji was able to recognize that he is him almost immediately. Iconic. And they go to this area to save a bunch of kids, and Wei Wuxian is being framed. Essentially, all the other clan leaders have learned that he is alive. He's being framed, and in part of being framed, he pulled his own sword out that he never really used after going all dark mode, right? All Anakin episode 3, right? Fairly accurate, actually. But apparently it's like a really rare thing, but if you are super powerful, your sword will make it so it can't be removed by the sheath except by its owner. And he pulls it out of the sheath, and apparently he had done that. So, they know it's him. And so they all show up, and they think he's the one doing all this stuff, and they're like, no, we're gonna defeat you. And they're like, it's suspicious that Longji's here too. Like, what's going on here? And so, so that we understand all those 3 chapters, one was like episode 3 of Star Wars, but also it was set up for us to understand why they would do this, why they would band together and do this, and it makes sense, right? And then it goes back to the past, in which, like, a few months after the first 3 chapters, and I don't know how to explain the kiss. They were each other's first kiss, and I am dying. I'm dying. Anyways, some iconic things happened, including that kiss. A lot of people said not great things about Wei Wuxian because of the demonic arts he did, and they're all kind of slightly scared of him, right? But nobody's quite scared enough. The end, anyways, it was great. It was great. It was a revenge story done really well. Is the moral of the story, 4.5 stars. And then I read Sapphire Blue, which is the second book in the Ruby Red trilogy, and or it's also called the Precious Stone trilogy. I think is dependent on, like, which translation or whatever. It is German, and it is a series that is think time travel version of your typical 2010s YA fantasy / sci-fi with a touch of romance thrown in, written for teenage girls. That's from the 2010s, right? The early 2010s. That's what it is. I'm reading it because, listen, a girl loves, and this is what's in this book, time travel, the ghosts, weird prophecies, I forget what the other thing I was gonna say is, but it's got those 3 things, and I love those things. Prophecy, really fucking obvious, oh my god. The main character, apparently, like, every generation, there is one woman from this family and one man from this family who can time travel, right? The main character, Gwen, her cousin, Charlotte, was the one who was expected to be the time traveler Jean, except on Gwen's birthday, her and everyone else learns that her mother lied about her birthday and time of birth, so that she wouldn't be indoctrinated to the secret cult. That was the other thing, the secret cult about this time travel stuff, right? And so now she's being thrown into, like, all of this time travel shit. It's been like 2 weeks, if that. This is like the beginning of book 1, okay? So she's, like, quickly able to learn all this weird time travel stuff and all this political stuff, and she doesn't understand any of it. And also, the guy version of her, he, how do I put this? Got weird vibes. I kept on playing that Hot and Cold, I think is what it's called, by Avril Lavigne in my head while reading it, because, literally one scene they'll be kissing, making out on a sofa, and then next scene he'll, like, making gross faces at her, and is saying snappy things. Like, I don't like him. And also he has some weird connection with her cousin who has been, snappy. It is, from what I understand, her, like, aunt is definitely, pushes, eating disorder upon her own daughter, and tries to push onto Gwen as well. And so, I'm guessing a toxic relationship with her mother causes her to be a toxic person in general, and bullies our main character. This is, like, the things I don't like about it. Also, like, every adult in this book, in this series, sucks ass. Her mom says she did it for love, and I will give this, Gwen, like, doesn't fully forgive her mother, but she understands that she had her reasons and still loves her, for hiding all this from her, but, like, now it's fucked up her whole life, right? So there's that. Like, her teacher is part of the secret society, and she still has to go, like, to high school and have Shakespeare papers, as she also has to, like, time travel every night, and she gets, like, 4 hours sleep every night. And there's also secret society stuff, and all the members of the secret society are men, and they all think that she's the one who's helping out the bad guys, collecting people's blood to try and stop this full circle thing that will save the world, right? And so it's like, they all think she's the one who's behind it because they know nothing about her. And so they, like, literally blindfold her and take her through catacombs and then force her to spend hours at a time in other time periods in locked, dark, damp basements. Right? And then also the rare time she's allowed out of this dark basement, when she travels into the past, she has to deal with gross older men, like touching her boobs and whatnot, and looking at her décolletage, and her low cut of her dress, and not be able to say anything about it because she's just a simple lady, right? Anyways, the plot twist at the end of this one, this has been out for like 15, 16 years, so I don't feel bad spoiling it until it's pretty fucking obvious. The real big bad guy, actually, he tells Gwen that Gideon, who is the love interest, who is the other time traveler, he, like, right before this, said, "I love you." I wanted to throw myself out a window. He said, "I love you," and then she goes to this meeting, the main bad guy, who is a man who has already tried to force choke her once. And then believes him when he says that Gideon is actually playing tricks on her, trying to make her fall in love with him so that he can, like, control her, right? And then she believes him and goes home. The end. And then the epilogue, we learned that the people who are kind of being framed as being bad people, who stole like some time travel stuff, it's not important, told him to protect her no matter what, or else she's gonna die, because of the prophecy. Also, the prophecy is very fucking obvious that it's about how she can see dead people. She can see, like, that's, it's so she calls her the one with the raven magic. What? Anyways, 3 stars. That's it. I'm pretty sure my dinner's ready, so I'm gonna go. Until the next video. Links below for all things. Wednesday's gaming video, Saturday's booktubes video. That's it. Goodbye.